Hello Internet, welcome back to DataCube. In this video we are going to be making a SerialPort as a service. So the idea here is we are going to create a web portal, a website I guess, that connects to a SerialPort and then exposes communication across that over a network. So you're going to be able to do a REST call against this API and send data to our serial thing. So to give you an idea of what that looks like from our last video, we can currently just pressing a key sends a byte of data, and that creates a light. So 3 bytes of data is equal to 1 color, and then once it fills up that color, it sends it. So effectively what we're doing is we're taking CoolTerm, and we're making it into a web service that automatically connects to this. And then once we have that, the idea is to move that entire thing onto a Raspberry Pi and get something like this. So this is just a giant plexiglass box. There's a Raspberry Pi in there. We are going to dropping things. Oh no. Okay. All right. So the idea with that is we are going to put that as a service. So our service, this website, is going to be running on that Raspberry Pi in there, not in here. I've already finished this box and I really don't like the design. First off, it doesn't really align that well, and also I was planning on doing white, like gray, and then a black, and then having like the lights shine through and have 3 different colors. That didn't actually work. The black is literally opaque, so you can't see anything, and that kind of ruins the effect. So I have 6 more clear tiles coming, and I'm going to use some reflective one-way mirror stuff, and we're gonna see if that works better. Yeah, the nice thing is there's just normal mounting screws on this box, so I can just unscrew the Raspberry Pi and plop it in wherever. So it's not that big of a deal to move it. So yeah, let's get started. So this is an ASP.NET Core website. It's using ASP.NET 5. Which is new. We're also in Visual Studio 2017, which I haven't done much with. I did sort of a little intro where we talked about tuples and a few of the other new .NET things, but other than that, I'm fairly new. This should be familiar to you if you're familiar with ASP.NET. If you're not, this is a router, effectively. So what you get is you get a controller. If you've used Spring or ASP before, this should look very similar. You create a controller, you give it a route. So this is going to be looking at API/values is how that's going to work. The controller part on the name is actually cut off. So what this route is going to be is API/values. And then what we're doing here is exposing a bunch of endpoints. So if I start this, there's 2 ways to start it. We can start it in IIS, or we can start it like I'm doing, which will just open up a terminal. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to want to pop up a window so we can actually test this, because this isn't going to work. Oh, it's doing it for me. Never mind. That's convenient. So if you run it in IIS, IIS is Microsoft's Internet Service something. I don't know what it stands for. But that's sort of the classic way of hosting ASP.NET sites. This is the new-ish way. Actually, I've never actually done this. So effectively what we get is we get a host, or we get our website hosted out on this port somewhere, and then we can find this router here, or this controller here. So controllers are sort of they're what opens up. They're what people can see for your web service. And then you have these view models, which are what you're returning. In this case, it's mostly just strings and enumerable stuff. There's no actual view model classes, and we probably won't have any of those either. But all you do is you call this, and so we have API/values, which means we're doing a GET request. Since this is in a browser, we're doing a GET against API/values, which this controller is automatically going to be replaced with values. And so what it's going to do is it's going to try to find the closest thing that resembles this. So we have 5 different endpoints here, and so it's going to go through this list. Let's say we go from top to bottom. This is only going to happen if you do a delete. So you would do that if you're like removing something from a database or dropping something or anything like that, anything that involves deleting it. Put is usually in idempotent create, which is a little bit, so put and post are sometimes used interchangeably. They're technically supposed to be different, but I don't know anybody that actually does that. Most people just use post for everything, but put is designed to be idempotent, so you give it something to create and it will always succeed effectively. So if something already exists, it just kind of ignores it. Whereas post will actually return an error, or should return an error if it didn't create it. But those are both going to be there. We're going to ignore both of those because we have a get, and so we're going to try to find something with a get. Then we're going to get up to these two. Both of these are gets, but they have different paths. This one has an ID that's specified, so this will actually get mapped out into this ID here. And then this one has nothing. So this is going to be our API/values. And then this is going to be our API/values/some ID. So if we open this back up and we want to get, say, the fifth element, we're just going to use their example. We're still doing a get, and we're still hitting the same controller, but now we're hitting this get. And we can do the same thing if I opened up like Postman. We could do a post or something. For right now, we don't need to worry about that. And most of this is going to be going away anyway, so yeah, we don't really care about it. So that's ASP.NET 101, I guess. Pretty much create a controller, that's how you interact. And one of the things you should have noticed, or you may not have, is we have a return type for these functions. So we're getting JSON back, that's the default. You can change that. Everything's pretty much configurable. So we're just returning a string for this one. So we just get value back. So we just get our value string back. But the other one, just doing this normal call, was actually JSON encoded. So it was actually taking this, oops, I stopped the service. Never mind, that's not gonna work. But this is an enumerable string. So we actually get a JSON array back, which the automatic encoding is very, very nice because you don't have to think about that. And it will go both ways too. So you can, if I give it some sort of complex object in here, it will automatically deserialize to that or throw an error if it doesn't before it ever hits your service, which is really nice because you don't have to deal with all of that. So let's actually create a, oops, what did I just do? I did something, I don't know what I clicked. I may have to play that back, but I hit, oh, probably view in browser. Oops. So we're just going to create a new controller here with minimal dependencies. I don't know the differences here. Oh, is it? There's some, Visual Studio does something funky when you do this. So I haven't used Visual Studio 2017 for an ASP project yet. So this is new to me. But I think this is doing something we really don't want it to. And I don't know how to stop it. There's no cancel. So ASP.NET MVC core dependencies have been added to the project. I'm not really sure I wanted those. Can I get rid of them? So I don't know. That's kind of weird. I don't like that. I don't think it's a necessarily awful thing, and it's not going to cause any issues. A lot of the stuff we already have. It's just, why did that need to happen? We already have a working controller. Why can't I just create another one? Those kind of things kind of bug me a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an API controller, just an empty API controller. And it's going to pop up with a prompt that's going to say, what do you want to call this? So the naming convention is things you return, so classes that you return. So we like that string and the enumerable string set. Those would be called view models. So this is going to be very similar to WPF or UWP or things like that. Controllers, on the other hand, have controller at the end, and then they usually are some broader things. So if you have like a user's controller or something that controls your users, this is going to be our notification controller. Is that what I wanted to call it? Sure, why not? So we called it notification, which means the controller name, there we go, is going to be API/notification. And we're going to see here, it actually added this produces JSON. So we were getting automatic JSON encoding. We should be able to just change this to like XML, and we get XML back. So I can just test that really quick. Let's throw together a really quick, what do we want to do? String array? Sure. Let's not get that bad of our code. Enumerable? Okay, I spelled that wrong. Good start. More Java code. I think I've screwed up everything I've typed so far. That's nice. So we have our enumerable string. We're just going to do a something, and we're just going to return two strings. So return two new string arrays. There we go. And we'll just say hello and world. And so if I remember correctly, this should return XML formatted stuff. So if you want XML, this is how you get it. So this should open up our new console. We should get a browser. So this is going to be the default browser on your computer. I haven't configured my default browser because I'm a noob. And I just don't use it that much. And it also makes me actually, this page isn't speaking our language. Okay, so Edge apparently doesn't like XML. Or I'm screwing that up. Also a possibility. So either way, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this because this is totally irrelevant to what we're doing. You can change the type, the doc type. And it actually may not have worked because I don't know if I have the formatter installed. But anyway, that's an option. You can do that. I'm just not, because JSON, I just prefer it. Let's see here. So we are going to create a post. So post is usually used for putting things somewhere. So get would be like, I want to see what's on this page, or what is this user's favorite items, or it's for reading data. Whereas a post is more for updating or putting something somewhere. It's for action, more or less. So we are going to turn void for now. That's probably not the best idea, but it's what we're going to do. And we're going to say submit notification. And so we're going to want a view model here, which is going to be our notification view model. So we're going to expect some sort of notification to come in to our service. And then when we receive this, we're going to want to notify our SerialPort and do some sort of action. So we don't have a SerialPort active, but we can get there. I should probably do that before I do this, but I'm not. So we're just going to generate this file. It's going to put it there. I think I can just move it down. And it doesn't refactor? Of course it doesn't refactor. Why would it refactor? That would make sense. Okay. So we've got this new view model. It's just a plain old C# object. So you just do colors is what we're going to do. So we're going to have public int R, G, and B. And we'll make these properties. And so all we're doing is exposing this. This is going to be coming into our controller like so. And we have to actually use our namespace now. There we go. So now we're getting in an RGB value. And so we just need to submit that down the pipe to wherever. Is there an unsigned Byte? No. So we're going to use unsigned ints instead. Or bytes? Should we just use a byte? You know what? Sure. I've never done this before because this seems questionable. But that's what we need. We need a byte to send, so we're going to ask for a byte. And that way we should get some automatic type checking. So if you send something huge, it should automatically deny you before you even get to our code. So ASP.NET actually does a lot of orchestration before getting there. That's why it can parse these complex objects for you and do all of that other stuff. One of the advantages of that is we get some type checking and some things like that. So if you're asking for an int and they give you a float, it can throw an error. And that's handy, I think. Let's see what happens there. So I'm going to, let's just print it out. So we're going to get that, and then we're going to do a console write line. I feel like this is probably not going to work. And I think there's a logger somewhere. I don't know where it is or how to use it. I've never actually done a professional project with ASP.NET Core. I haven't done it since ASP.NET Web Forms, which I wouldn't call, it's not something I would recommend. So we create a logger here. Don't know how to use it, so we're gonna ignore that because it's not, again, not strictly relevant. So we're just gonna write a line, because why not? Notification.r. That's not how I want to do this. Let's do the fancy new .NET thing. So I believe it's either a % or a $sign. I always forget, but we're going to make it up. So you do notification.r. I think it's the $sign. Yes. Okay. So this came in .NET 6, and what it lets you do is, you can see I'm doing these brackets. Normally you do like a number and then pass it in afterwards. This lets you do it all inline. So it's actually going to compose us a message called notification B. There we go. So I just close the string. And what this is going to do is it's going to print our RGB value as a single line in our log. And so we should be able to see that. So I'm going to start this. And then I'm going to go and find Postman because I didn't reinstall it. So Postman is just going to let us actually post to this because doing it in a browser is more trouble than it's worth. So you can see we're getting a 404 because we can't find it because it needs to be a post. And that's going to have to be in the body, which I don't think I specified. So let me stop that quick and post body. No, does it not require that? Or is it just called something else? Hold on. From body. There we go. So the body is going to be in you have two components really. You have this, which is your URL. So you can add arguments like this. So just do a question mark and then say notification equals 6 or like R equals 6 and B equals 12 and so forth. So you can do that and that works. But there's a body for posts and puts and deletes and things like that. That is sort of behind the scenes and can do JSON encoding and things like that. So you can pass very complex objects like user information or whatever. And we're going to use that to do this. So I'm going to go get a tool that will let us do that a little bit more easily and a little bit more visually. Because if I start doing it here, it's gonna get weird. So I'll be right back with fun stuff. So I think it actually worked this time. There was some weird issues happening the first time I tried this, but let's see here. So I'm going to start this, pull out this. So I'm just grabbing our URL. This is Postman, which is a RESTful client. So what it lets you do is query things. So I'm going to do a post, provide a body, and we're going to do a raw format, and this has to be JSON. So we're going to do R is 255, B is 128, and then G, those are out of order. Oops. Well, that just totally ruins the entire progression. Okay. Okay. Doing all sorts of bad stuff. There we go. So this is what a JSON object looks like. Hopefully you type it better than I did, because that was awful. And then all we need to do is finish off this notification. Okay, what did I spell? Notification. There we go. So if I send this, unsupported type. Yes, because I sent text. Our service is expecting JSON, so there's a bunch of different types. So like I was talking about sending XML before, and there's a few other ones. So we want to make sure we're sending JSON data. We have to say what kind of data we're sending so that it knows what to parse. So for example, if you have an API that supports both XML and JSON, you have to let it know which one it should expect. Otherwise, it may think, oh, this isn't properly formatted JSON, but it's properly formatted XML, even though you intended it to be JSON, and weird stuff happens. So we're not going to see anything interesting here because there's no response, but we are going to see a 200 OK, which means nothing broke. And we got 2550128, which means our information hit here, and we were able to print it out. So now that we know this is working, what we want to do is we want to take this information and actually put it here. So our next goal is to actually make a serial processor. We're going to start off by making that just a static singleton, which is gross, but we're going to fix it with dependency injection later. Probably not in this video, just because that'll take longer. We'll probably do a separate video on dependency injection and why it's useful. But we're just going to get it started because that's effectively what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be doing it better. So, serial communication, sure. So, all we're going to do is create a static class. Static classes are gross, and I wouldn't recommend them in most cases. We're doing this more for testing and to get it up and running quick, and because we can kind of simulate our dependency injection this way without actually doing dependency injection. So what we need is a SerialPort. What we need is a SerialPort. This is going to be very difficult if we don't actually have the SerialPort to communicate over, because then this isn't going to work. I'm going to go find out where this class is hiding, because we need it. If we don't have it, this isn't... Okay. Holy crap. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, welcome back everybody. It's been probably about a second for you guys, and about 2 hours for me. Oh, that was fun. So, I tried a lot of things. None of them worked. So what we've done is, this isn't a .NET Core app anymore. I went and edited the project, and it's now a .NET Core, or .NET 4.6.2 app. Yeah. So, I'll cover a little bit while I'm continuing with this. I'll cover a little bit about what I was doing. I was trying .NET SerialPorts. The implementation was bad in .NET, so they've been trying to discuss how to make it better, which is a very long thread on GitHub. and I read most of it, and they're still working on it. There's a pull request that pulled in .NET, or that pulled in some SerialPort port into the .NET Core FX class, which is the core .NET libraries. That's not out yet. So what I did is I downloaded the beta, which part of the configuration I showed there, that was part of the beta. But yeah, still couldn't get it to work. I was getting a bunch of other packages were broken, so nothing was compiling. So I switched it back to just .NET Core. This won't run on a Pi because Pis are going to be running Linux, but hopefully it's fixed by then, or I find to spend more time and actually get it solved. We don't need it for this. So I've effectively just turned a welcome to ASP and serial communication into a, oh my god, this thing is so complicated. It's not normally. Their documentation is just awful right now. They don't. It's all about they've been working on features and getting everything back to where they expect it to be, which means all the stuff isn't there. And I'm sitting here talking when I should be typing code because we need to get this done. All right, so we have a serial port. It's going to be there. We're going to initialize it to some port, which means we need a public static initialize. Void initialize. There we go. And so we're just going to open up a new port. New serial port. Now, it's been a while since I've used these, so I don't actually know how they work. Okay, I know how they work, but I don't know how to actually use them. So they expect a port name and a baud rate. We have the baud rate. I can plug that in, and that's going to be coming from here. So this is going to be our port. So it'll be like COM4 or COM6 or whatever. And this I'm just going to hard code because we'll plug that in from a configuration later, but not right now. You know what? Screw it. We'll do it now. Int baud. Cool. So we're going to do our baud rate plus our port to get a serial port. Cannot convert serial port to string. Oh, duh. Named them the same thing. Serial connection. There we go. So we're going to create a serial connection to something, and then public static void. We don't care about communication back, so I'm going to completely ignore that. It's a bad idea, but we're going to do it anyway. And so I'm just going to give it a byte array and say data. So I think that's pretty much all we need. We just need to take our serial connection and write some data to it. So if I just do data, that's not going to work because it's expecting a string, which works. But why? Okay, fine, sure. Okay. We're going to use a string here, and somewhere we're going to have to convert. I don't know why they're using a string. That's also confusing. But it's the way it is. So, not really too concerned about fixing it. We're just going to make it work. So this is a 2-line serial connection. Dot connect. I'm just making sure there's nothing I'm missing, because I'm pretty sure I'm missing a ton. Bunch of reading stuff, bunch of writing stuff. Okay, I'm going to say we're good. And if it doesn't work, we're not good. Right, so what we need is we need to initialize this. We're going to do that in our startup. So there's a bunch of stuff that goes on here. We create a configuration, which is going to be this guy. So I've already added a COM port. We're going to need a baud rate, just so we know how fast to read. So 9600, there we go. And remember, that just has to match what's on our Arduino. There's nothing else that important about it. And then we just need to read it. Don't know how to do that. I think it's like this. Hope it's like that, because if it isn't, we're going to be in a weird place. So I'm just going to configure it here. And we're going to just do our serial communication dot initialize dot get section, and we're going to do something. I forgot a C when I copied that. Some section, and we're going to get a string. So we have a string here we're going to pull out, and this string is going to be, it just has to match that, so port. So we're going to pull out our port. Ignore that, that was wrong. Port needs to be a part of the get, not part of the section. The section's different. The section is this guy, serial connection. There we go. And then this throws an error. So I should point out now, I don't actually know how to use this stuff because I've never actually used it before. Get value, that's what we want. There we go. So we're getting the port value. So it's going to function very much like a map. It is a map. That's effectively one way to think of JSON. It's just a giant dictionary. This, we want our baud rate, and that's just an int. So we get both of those, pass those in, initialize that, and then there's one final thing we need to do. No, we're going to do one more thing. Sorry, I'm getting all kinds of confused, but when we initialize this, we're also going to call write, and write, I'm just hitting random keys at this point, because it doesn't really matter what we write. I just want to make sure we get something. So I have to disconnect here, and then we'll see a few dots go through. That's more Windows things. Apparently it just sends data over time. If there's nothing connected to it, it will do like a keep alive and just make sure it's still there. And that's why those bits kind of start popping through. So I should be able to start this. It should automatically connect. Port is closed. I think there's an open that I have to call. Hey, there's an open I have to call. Cool. So we're going to do that. And this should connect. Nope. Access to COM4 is denied. Oh, hey. Access is denied. I got this. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Can I connect? There we go. Let's try again. Hey, data. We did the thing. So that thing going around my neck, that's actually data coming from our thing. So it works. Hey, huzzah! Woo! I think because I don't actually close the connection, I think if I restart this, it's probably going to throw. Oh no, it works again. Neat. Okay. Awesome. So we very nearly have data as a service. I'm going to remove this because that's a really bad idea, that right there, because it's just going to cause a bunch of issues. So all we need to do now is convert this console.writeLine into a console, not that, a serial communication dot write. And then we just need to send it a bunch of bytes, which we can do by creating, I think there's a way to create a string from a byte array. Let's find out how that works. String dot this is me staring at a wall and not actually getting anywhere. Let's do a character array. Don't know if this is gonna work. No idea how this is gonna work. Kind of relying on some C stuff here. Contains, I don't know why I called that contains, that's gonna be fine though. Char array of notification.r, notification.g, and notification.b. Notification does not exist in the current context. What? Okay, cannot convert a byte to a character. That makes more sense. But can you do it if I explicitly ask you to? I think you can. So, I think this video is probably what not to do when you're writing a website. Because this is gross. But hey, it's working-ish. String data string equals contains. Does that actually work? No? Okay. I don't know how to do this. Let's see. New string from contains. Sure, that works. Oh my god. This is all kinds of bad ideas. We can give it a byte pointer. That's cool. Alright, why would I want to... Okay. Yep, I'm going to pretend like this is going to work. And then we're going to writeLine our data string, because I want to know what this is sending, because I'm going to have no idea. Cool. And then we're just going to take the data string and we're going to send each byte or each thingamajig. Not really sure why somebody was like, yeah, we're going to send strings over a communication. That I don't know what that doesn't make sense to me, but okay, sure, we're going to do that. Start that. We have this not authorized, so we need to connect. That's probably why there was stuff going down. Okay, we can. The heck? Let me try again. Okay, it works now. Neat. Let's send this. It works. Ha! Yes. So we're getting red, green, blue. So that's, we sent sort of an orangish thing. So Twitter blue is like that-ish. So if I send that, we get purple. So not entirely correct, but we're getting there. So red, green, blue. I'm going to make sure this is correct. This is our Arduino code, which is going to take red, green, blue. I think. I'm just making sure this is actually doing what I expect it to. We initialize a color. Yeah. So that should work. Just to make sure. It's responsive at least. That's nice. Appreciate that. So that should be purple, but it's yellow. Are we getting the opposite of what? Because yellow is the complement to purple. So if I send that, we get purple. Well, what? I'm a little bit, what? Is this an endingness issue? Maybe. We're going to fix this, but how? Okay, I'm going to actually find out how to properly get bytes into the string to send down the serial thing. That seems like the best option. We'll do this the right way, because me just making that up, clearly I've screwed something up, because it's not working. I'm finding better ways to do things. There's actually a thing that just accepts bytes. That probably would have been nice to know. So we can just write this way, and just do byte. Like so, byte array. Done. Which makes it very easy. And so this is the offset, so if you're giving it a giant list, you can do, we only want to send certain amounts. And then the total number of things to take off of it. Very, very C-like. I think it is just a C wrapper. I think that's all this class is. So that means we don't need any of that. We can just do a new byte array of notification.r, notification.g, and notification.b. And we'll avoid all that crazy string stuff. Which is a good thing, because that was gross. Cool. So we just log it and we do some other things. I'm gonna have to write something to adjust for these errors, like when we don't connect. There may just be a retry we do or something. But we should be able to send green. That's still purple. There we go. This is totally not gonna break anything. There is no way that this ends poorly. Red, green, blue. There we go. Yep, that's definitely the best solution for this. There's no other way I could have possibly handled that. Absolutely no other way. We're just gonna get a bunch of errors. I'm just gonna force it. Or not. So we should be connected. Well, we'll have to start a server, but should connect now. And so I should be able to send green. It's still purple. Why is it still purple? Okay. So, it works now. I have no idea why. I took out the -255 from here, and now green is actually green. So maybe I was going insane? Maybe it was always working? I honestly have no idea. But it's working now, which is good. Means that we're actually done with this. We have a service that works. I don't know how it's working, but it's working. Yeah, and that's pretty much all we need to do. We just need to convert this back to .NET Core when that's actually available, or if I actually get the beta running, because we're going to need that in order to run it on our Pi. So that's it for now. This one, whew, this did not go well, but it works. Clearly .NET Core needs some work. The documentation, for example, is lacking, and I would like that to be better. And it'd be nice if some of the features were there. It looks like they're coming, but they're not coming fast enough. So I understand what they're trying to do, but it's not there yet. So I don't know what else to say there. But yeah, we have a service. We can send messages to it and get them in here. So yeah, If there's anything you guys want to see, anything else you guys want to input or have me do or change or whatever, or projects you have, always looking for new projects. But if there's anything you guys want to throw out there, let me know. Comments, I read all of those. Send me a message or reach out to me some other way. Don't really care how, I just want to hear from you. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it here because my battery's dead and everything's going horribly wrong. Yeah. All right, till next time, Internet. See ya.